morning. I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castros.
Happy Tuesday morning. The weather's still holding up. Thank you, Lord. Of course, we're monitoring several big stories that are currently unfolding and developing. One of which is, of course, yung Quiboloy saga. Nandun ka kahapon.
Oo. Sabi mo, Tuesday pa lang, parang pa-weekend na sa dami ng balita.
Nag-epal question ka, di ba? Nag-epal question ka kay,
epal question?
Kay SILG.
Oo, tinanong ko sa kanya. Mamaya pag-usapan natin yan.
Si attorney talaga. Ikaw
favorite
talaga.
niya yun. Oo, favorite niya.
Ayun, anyway, madami tayong pag-uusapan nga. Ika nga sa...
May mga nagalit sa Senate.
Madami. Wait, let me, nawawala train of thoughts.
Go na. Tatahimik na lang ako.
Hindi yun. Sinasabi ko na madaming big stories unfolding from Quiboloy saga 2, yung sinasabi mo, sa Senate.
Sa Senate.
Oo.
Ano pa? Tapos si Vice President, hindi ako bratinela. Diba?
Taong bayan daw magtitistigo para sa kanya.
Ang dami.
Okay, anyway, madami tayong pag-usapan. And of course, may budget hearing. We're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch.
Let's start off our countdown first, and we'll get back to that later. Let's start it off with sports. The country's national volleyball teams were recognized in the Senate yesterday. Senators Alan Peter and Pia Cayetano filed a resolution congratulating Alas Filipinas women for nabbing bronze at the 2024 Asian Volleyball Confederation Challenge Cup. The senators also congratulated the men's team for bagging back-to-back bronze medals at the recent Men's Southeast Asian Volleyball League. The athletes will receive cash incentives from the Cayetanos.
Congratulations. Okay, let's continue with our countdown. Next in our countdown is the weather. Pag-asa is monitoring a potential cyclone. The low-pressure area was last spotted some 2,415 kilometers east of eastern Visayas. It is expected to develop into a tropical cyclone and enter the Philippine territory in the coming days. Another LPA was seen northeast of Luzon, but it has already exited PAR and no longer expected to affect the country. Meanwhile, parts of Luzon may still experience rains due to the southwest monsoon or habagat. Areas affected include Ilocos region, Zambales, Bataan, and of course, Metro Manila. Yan. So, antabayanan po nila yung mga weather updates na yan dahil importante para makapaghanda. Di ba yung mga kababayan natin na, ayan na naman kasi yung usapin ng flood control na every time umuulan dito sa Pilipinas, ever since ako ay nagkaisip na kapag umuulan dito sa Pilipinas talagang bahain siya. At until now, wala pa rin nagagawang solusyon dyan.
So supposedly sa Friday, yan ang titignan natin schedule ng bagyo. Tapos yung flood control naman, it's not really meant to prevent flood, but it's meant to lessen the time the flood stays inside the vicinity. So kung may pumasok na baha, mag-exit ka agad. So therefore, hindi siya makaka-apekto masyado. Yan ang problema. A lot of factors like infrastructure ng flood control, hindi maayos daw ang pag-i-implement, mabagal ang pag-i-implement. Number two, may kasalanan din naman ang mga citizens by throwing trash kung saan-saan. Di ba, nagbabara ang waterways natin. So madaming factors that contribute to terrible flood in Metro Manila.
Sana mag-amihan na tayo, season.
Yan ang masarap, the best. Sana amihan forever.
Yon.
Okay, let's move on. Not so good news at the 8th spot. Travelers in NAIA will pay a higher passenger terminal fee next year. From 550 pesos, the terminal fee for international travelers will increase to 950 pesos. For domestic travelers, they will have to pay 390 pesos from 200 pesos. New NAIA Infrastructure Corporation General Manager Angelito Alvarez said the implementation of the higher passenger terminal fees will increase next year. San Miguel Corporation President and COO Ramon S. Ang assured passengers the increase of passenger terminal fees will be beneficial for the improvement of NAIA.
So yung NAIA, ayaw na ayaw kong tawagin ng mga foreigner yan na the worst airport in the world. Kaya I want to make sure na kung pwede, ako na sana ang magkaroon ng pagkakataon na mag-rehabilitate nitong NAIA. Kaya profit is not in our Yeah. Our number one priority.
Yeah, Denise Tan sits down with EJ Obiena for an exclusive interview. In this episode of The Long Take, the pole vaulter looks back at his Olympics journey. Obiena also shared his plans moving forward. Catch the interview here on One News via Signal TV and on Signal Play later at 6:15 p.m. Uy, madaming good stories about EJ,
Yes,
Oh,
oo.
very,
So, abangan nila yan.
very humble and down to earth. And may alagang pusa.
Ayun.
He loves cats. Ayun. So, abangan niyo yan
nila
mamaya. Oo.
Kanina kasi, dapat may sasabihin pa ako
Ay,
about
I'm sorry.
Naiya
Kaya
eh.
nakita ko napikon ka, nag-irap. O, sabihin mo
Hindi
na.
na, okay na.
No, ano
Coming
mo
up,
sabihin mo?
why did the Senate cite Alice Guo in contempt again?
And did he surrender or was he captured? The government and the Kingdom of Jesus Christ are debating about the arrest of Pastor Apollo Quiboloy.
We're just getting started mga kapatid. More of our top 10 news when Brunch returns. Keep it here on One News. Good morning! You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Good morning pa rin, of course, sa ating mga brunchies. Nako, I'm sure excited na kayo malaman kung ano pang nilalaman ng ating countdown. So let's continue. Going straight now to our 7th spot, some 500,000 candidates are expected to run in the May 2025 midterm elections. Comelec says these are for more than 18,000 positions, both local and national. For Sangguniang Bayan alone, there are nearly 12,000 vacancies. Aspiring bets may file their candidacy from October 1 to 8, including Saturday and Sunday. Substitutions beyond that are only allowed in case of death and disqualification of the original aspirant. Marami yun, ha? Marami mga kakandidato. So hopefully, itong mga kakandidato na to, tama yung maboboto. Yun naman ang lagi nating hiling, di ba, sa mga botante.
We should be learning already our lessons about listening to campaign promises. Where I'm not pointing out to any specific politician, but for example, those who voted for the unity team because they believed in the unity team na the Duterte and Marcos faction could work together, ang dami na sila ngayon na nag-aaway on social media.
Right.
Diba? So, ayan, should be lessons learned.
Oo, sige. Mamaya pag-usapan pa natin and hopefully makasama natin ang taga-Comelec. But for the meantime, let's continue with our countdown.
Coming in at the 6th spot is about Mpox. The health department insisted a mask-wearing mandate or lockdown is not necessary to prevent the spread of Mpox in the country. Health Secretary Ted Herbosa said the best way to prevent getting infected with Mpox is to avoid skin-to-skin contact with a suspected Mpox patient. It will also help if we practice hand washing. Herbosa added that wearing a mask is not necessarily preventing Mpox since it is not an airborne disease like COVID-19. DOH has recorded 23 Mpox cases in the country, in which 14 of those were registered this year. Ayan, we all know kasi skin-to-skin talaga ang Mpox kasi may mga lesions ka and you touch somebody with Mpox, mahahawa ka or yung person with Mpox sits down on a chair tapos dumikit sa chair, nadikit ka.
Hindi naman siya kapares ng COVID na kunyari nagsasalitaan tayo ng medyo malayo, naubuhan kita, hindi naman ikaw.
Which is also hard because maybe within your own environment, control mo yung how you move about. But if you're in an environment na if you travel to a different place, if you're a commuter,
diba? Simple as that.
You have, if you go to the airport, you have contact with different surfaces with thousands of people na dumaan doon. So, hindi mo malalaman kung sino ang may Mpox.
Pag naglalaro ka, kunyari basketball, hindi mo alam, carrier na pala yung isa, hindi rin niya alam. Tapos may skin-to-skin contact.
While Mpox now is not really lethal, but it still has over a % chance na pwede kang patayin if may underlying symptoms ka o comorbidities. Hindi mo alam at the time na kung magka-Mpox ka, biglang meron ka palang nararanasan na other problems sa katawan mo. Pwede kang madali. So it's always better to be safe.
Oh, so hopefully nga sana makakuha na tayo ng ng vaccine, pero ang importante kasi ngayon ang SOP diyan kasi talaga mabigyan sana yung mas marami, 'di ba? Yung kalat na kalat.
The general
Mpox.
population,
Oo,
yeah.
which is in bandang South Africa.
Bandang South.
All right, let's move forward. Switching gears now for our top 5, Vice President Sara Duterte denies being a spoiled brat. In a video released by her office, Duterte responded to criticisms thrown at her. She was under fire for refusing to answer questions of lawmakers regarding her proposed budget.
Sanay ako sa ganyan at alam ng taong bayan na hindi ako bratinela o spoiled brat dahil kilala nila ako simula nung ako ay nasa Davao pa, simula nung ako ay mayor pa, hanggang naging vice president ako.
Duterte insisted that her budget was being politicized. She put the blame on the lawmakers, insisting they're just not used to getting answers they don't like.
Nakikita namin na ginagamit siya ng ibang mga miyembro, iilan na mga miyembro ng Kongreso para umatake sa akin dahil hindi kami magkasama sa politika.
Actually, both sides naman may point. Sa Congress, may point din naman sila. You should at least respect also Congress as an institution. And it is their job po to scrutinize the budget. And as much as possible, if you can answer properly, then answer properly. On the side naman of VP Sara, I understand that na sinasabi niya na hindi sanay po ang mga congressmen natin or mga sa upper house na makatanggap ng sagot na hindi nila gusto pakinggan. Kasi it's very evident po sa mga committee hearings na nangyari na if they feel, even without justification, if they feel na feeling nila sinungaling yung resource person, sinungaling na, and they press forward like criminal ang tao. So I understand both sides naman, but at the end of the day, it is best na wag sila mag-name calling like Bratinela and something. That's very unbecoming of a statesman.
Parang super nagiging low yung argument, kumbaga. Ang importante dyan, whether it's politicized or not, ang importante dyan...
Submit to the process.
Oo, submit to the process. At kayo po ay public servant. And we demand accountability, transparency, pagdating po lalo na po dito sa pera ng bayan because pera natin lahat yan di ba? So we want to know, gusto namin scrutinize, makita yung mga nilalaman ng budget, and by doing that is everybody to submit yung sa proseso.
The process may be difficult or harsh, but then again, it is the process that you have to go through.
Totoo yan. Pero nga sinasabi niya dun sa kanyang naging interview kahapon na sumabay din sa pagpresenta ng PNP kay Quiboloy sa media, sumabay din ito dun sa hearing na nangyayari sa Senate regarding sa Pogo, ay yung kanyang interview, 'di ba, na naglabas ng video. Ito sinasabi nga niya na dalawa lang naman yung may hawak ng ng budget, 'di ba? 'Yun ang sinasabi niya. Yan ay nakalimutan ko yung isa of course si House Speaker Martin Romualdez ang sinasabi niya. And of course sa House of Representatives sinasabi nila, that's not true, 'di ba? Kasi may proseso tayo, may ganito, ganyan. So talagang attack mode na itong si Vice President Sara Duterte.
If VP Sara reads books, if you're attacking the institution that's supposed to grant you money, you're not gonna get the money. Di ba? Might as well daan mo sa diplomasya.
Oo. Lalo na pa ito iba naman to kasi budget ng Office of the Vice President pinag-uusapan.
Kahapon was budget of the OP.
Oo, pero kasi yung usapin din ng budget ng Department of Education, mainit din yan dahil dapat nila pagtuunan ng pansin at saka imbestigahan dahil dun sa mga lumalabas sa mga reports regarding misappropriated na mga budget o yung millions of pesos na pinag-uusapan natin tungkol dun sa yung feeding programs, 'di ba? Mga nasira, nabulok, yung mga pagkain, tapos yung iba pa rin yung investigasyon tungkol sa laptops na naiwan sa warehouse, etc. So, yan maganda rin na pagtuunan din yan ng pansin. Kasi otherwise, wala. Ulit lang to. Kung mainit lang siya sa media, yun lang pag-uusapan.
Pag nag-die down,
wala na. Hindi na natin alam kung ano nangyayari. Alright, sige.
Let's move on. Still hot at the fourth spot is Norman Tancinco. President Bongbong Marcos fired him from his post as the immigration chief. He earlier warned that, quote, heads will roll after learning that Guo fled the country almost 2 months ago. Justice Secretary Boying Rimulya said he was the one who told the president to sack Tansinko. He said it has something to do with multiple immigration issues, including the escape of Alice Guo.
I have asked the president to relieve him and to replace him. Nagkasundo na kami ng Pangulo.
Nagkasundo meaning he will be
Papalitan siya. Oh. If I were him, I'll resign already. Mag-resign na lang siya.
Wala pa naman sinasabi about yung involvement ni Tansinko kay former immigration chief Tansinko kay Alice Guo. Just saying at this moment, of course, accountability-wise, the buck stops at his office and under his watch, may nakatakas.
At true to the statement of our president, si President Bongbong Marcos,
The first
sinabi niya, heads will roll, eto na nga, rolling in the deep. Kanta ba ito?
Unang head gumulong na.
Oo, di ba? So hopefully ay malaman pa natin kung ano-ano pa yung mga
Sino
pa na, di ba? Kasi yun nga tulad ng sinabi mo, not necessarily sinasabi siya ay may kinalaman sa pag-alis.
But he was the head kasi
Alice
of immigration.
Guo. Yes. At saka tapos nadagdag pa yung mga, of course, yung mga tauhan niya sa Bureau of Immigration na mga nagpa-selfie, 'di ba? Ginawang celebrity itong si Alice Guo.
But lessons learned dito, also the government should find ways na may beyond the control kasi Bureau of Immigration budget-wise, find ways to secure our borders. That it's very difficult kasi archipelagic in nature So madami tayong exit and entry points. How do you secure these entry and exit points? Yan ang pag-usapan nila. Moving forward.
Oo, at saka hindi lang sila dapat nakatuon. Of course, importante to yung nangyari kay Alice Guo na yung paano siya nakaalis dito sa bansa na without us knowing. And of course, importante yung iba pang ahensya na alam mo yun, kasabot here, no? I'm not allegedly, no? Pero sinasabi ko yung mga naging proseso nila, like for example, pag-release ng birth certificate sa, ang tawag dito sa Philippine Statistics Authority. Di ba? Pagkakaroon ng multiple passports ng ilang Chinese individuals here in the Philippines, di ba?
A lot of things to look at.
Oo, marami yan eh. Parang concerted effort
Anyway,
siya.
madami pa tayong pag-usapan. Let's go.
Oo, sige. Coming in at our top 3, Alice Guo was again cited in contempt by the Senate for repeatedly refusing to answer questions. Here's the report.
From Camp Crame. Dismissed Mayor Alice Guo was brought to Senate on Monday. She was handcuffed and wearing a bulletproof vest.
Alice, any statement, Mayor?
Some senators already appeared irked at the beginning of the hearing.
Alice, binastos mo at binalahura mo ang buong gobyerno, ang buong sambayan ng Pilipino. Hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit nung nahuli ka, parang walang-wala sa'yo.
Marami ka litrato, naka-peace sign ka pa and all smiles. Alam na namin lahat through the hearings conducted by this committee na hindi ka Pilipino. Hindi totoong lumaki ka sa farm, hindi totoo si Teacher Rubilin, hindi rin totoo na simpleng mamamayan ka lang. Puro kasinungalingan ang istorya na isinuwalat mo dito sa Senado.
Senator Risa Hontiveros asked about Guo's identity.
Ikaw ba daw si Guo Huaping?
Pasensya na po talaga, ako po si Alice Guo po.
Hontiveros was not convinced, so she showed documentary evidence on Alice being Guo Huaping.
Stop being evasive before this committee. Finlash namin ulit yung dactyloscopy report ng NBI.
Hindi ko po alam kung paano po nangyari, basta alam ko po ako po si Alice Guo po. At pasensya na rin po kung hindi po kayo naniniwala.
When senators asked who helped her escape,
Gusto ko rin pong sabihin po sa inyo lahat at sa mga magiging questions nyo rin po sa akin mamaya, may consideration lang din po ako sa safety ko rin po.
Sino ang nagbabanta sa'yo?
Hindi ko kasi masabi po in public
No,
kasi nga po
ito.
may safety problem nga po ako.
Wala namin kung binobola mo kami rito.
Sasagutin mo kaming ganyan, pagkataas mo kaming bastusin, pagkataas mo kaming takasan, sasabihin mo may death threat ka, tapos di mo masabi kung saan galing yung death threat mo, hindi mo masabi kung dito sa Pilipinas o sa abroad.
Ang Senate hearing po natatapos pero natatakot po kasi ako sa magiging buhay
Paano
ko.
ka tinatakot nung kausap mo sa telepono? How are you threatened?
Hindi ko po muna i-discuss po sa public po.
No.
Opo.
the
Pasensya na po
public
talaga.
Guo mentioned that she boarded a yacht from Manila and then transferred to bigger boats. The senators then asked Who owns the yacht?
Pasensya na po talaga pero natatakot po talaga ako.
Iniintindi ka namin at inaalam namin kung ano yung kinatatakutan mong sinasabi mong death threat, ayaw mo pang sabihin. Ngayon, mas simple, isulat sinong may-ari at facilitator sa yate at sabihin mo sa amin saan ka sumakay.
Sen, gustong-gusto ko po talaga i-discuss. Pero natatakot po ako
Gusto mo pala, di
i-discuss po
sabihin mo sa
public.
amin. Nakakapikong ka na, ha? Nakakagigil ka na.
At saka Miss Alice, nasa custody kayo ng PNP. Paano kayo papatayin doon? Imposible.
She instead wrote the name of the person who orchestrated her escape. Senator Jinggoy Estrada said the person is now out of the country and is a holder of 5 passports.
Itinakas ka nitong tao na ito?
Hindi. Ang nangyari po dyan,
Desisyon mo ba na umalis o ang taong ito ang nagdesisyong umalis ka?
Kasi sabi mo
Yes or
gusto
no
mo na
lang?
sanang umatras.
Yes or no lang? Decision mo bang umalis o itong tao na to ang nagdesisyon para sa'yo umalis? Kaya niya pinacilitate ito.
nung una po siya po nagdesisyon po para sa akin.
So, nung una.
Nung una
Tapos
po.
nung pangalawa, ikaw
Nung
na rin.
pangalawa po, dahil meron po ako ulit ng mga naririnig na babalitaan po, natatakot na po ako din talaga.
Go admitted that she wanted to go back to the Philippines.
Nung nakasakay na po kami sa malaking barko, sa totoo lang, kung pwede lang matras, aatras na rin ako nun. Nakakatakot talaga.
Bakit ka aatras sana?
Parang nakakatakot po talaga.
Ano yung inaatrasan mo? Sana.
Na gusto ko na pong umuwi, gusto ko na bumalik.
So, ba't hindi mo ginawa?
Yung nga po nagkamali din po ako talaga dun.
But she insisted that no Filipino or government official was involved in her escape.
Di ako naniniwala na walang Pilipinong tumulong para makalabas kayo sa Pilipinas. Di ako naniniwala na walang opisyales ng gobyerno na tumulong sa inyo.
Due to her refusal to answer questions, Go was again cited in contempt by the Senate. However, she will remain under the custody of the police due to an arrest warrant issued by a regional court.
A couple of points lang ha, na napansin ko. Number one, makikita mo na si Senator Risa was a journalist before, and she's been the most calm senator all throughout the years sa iba-ibang hearing from Congress, being in Congress pa. Never nagagalit yan. Yesterday, tumaas ang boses niya konti. You have to remember kasi being a journalist, di ba, you're trained to talk to people. Tapos, sana na lang yung ginawa ng mga senador, hindi nila...
Mahinahon talaga siya.
sana ginawa ng mga senador, they put her at ease. 'Di ba? Kasi you cannot get a confession out of somebody if you're attacking them. Mga interrogation style 'yan, if you watch yung mga US interrogators, pinaparamdam nila sa iyo na kaibigan ka nila. Tapos yung isa pang point, sayang, she was willing to say everything na in executive session, but the senators ayaw, gusto nila on camera. So what is the difference? Magkakaroon ka pa rin naman ng info pag executive session. Ba't gusto nyo on camera?
Yun nga yung sinasabi ni Attorney Stephen David when he was interviewed, that ang kanyang point naman dito, pag-usapan natin, ay sabi niya ganun, willing naman magsalita si Alice Guo.
Executive session.
Through executive sessions. Anyway, this is all for in aid of legislation.
Tsaka,
sinasabi nga nila, pero yung pagdating dun sa usapin ng mga kanyang yung passport, kung siya ba ay Chinese or Filipino, yung mga ganyan, sabi nila, hindi niya masagot talaga. And we've seen that, di ba, sa Senate hearing, hindi niya masagot because there are cases filed already. Ang point ng defense nila Alice Guo through her lawyer ay pag sinabi niya, sumagot siya doon sa tinatanong sa kanya sa Senate hearing regarding her identity or kung Chinese ba siya or not, ay kung sinabi niyang yes, Chinese siya, mapaperjury siya sa COMELEC pa lang 'di ba? Dahil may kaso na siya doon kaya kailangan ng importante ay hindi muna siya magsalita regarding the cases.
Pero she already spoke out regarding citizenship. Sinabi niya, I am Filipino.
Yes, yun ang sinasabi niya. So, kaya nga yun ang defense nila na anything na meron siyang kaso, hindi niya masasagot right in front of the public because magkakaroon ng kaso, hindi niya mapagtatanggol yung sarili niya or whatever.
Doon ko na-appreciate si Senator Doroy.
Sino?
Senator Doroy. Kilala mo ba yan? Bato.
Bakit? Ano sabi niya?
He was asking for executive session for Alice Guo kasi wala lang daw. Being a police, he understands that the information is already here. Pumapayag na magsalita in closed door. Kung police ka, usually, you will take that information kaysa mawala. Okay, what happened yesterday sa hearing, the senators kept on attacking. Di ba ang rule of thumb, if you attack somebody, nag-form ng defensive barrier ang isang tao. Nagka-clam up sila. Di ba? They'll end up not talking because hindi ko kakampi to, kaaway ko rin kayo eh.
Exactly.
So pag nag-executive session kayo, she might feel at ease kasi hindi naka-broadcast sa buong mundo yung video eh. Mas lalo na if this guy na who's threatening Alice Guo has multiple passports, he's a kingpin. Mahaba ang galamay niya.
So, dun sa naman, sa parte naman ng mga netizens, syempre maraming nainis dahil syempre inaasahan nila na baka magsalita na to. Pero tayo din pinag-uusapan natin, most probably baka hindi rin talaga tayo makakarinig ng mga masyadong revelation dahil ganyan ang sasabihin lang din talaga.
Takot na takot ang
Uy, ang init ang ulo ni Senator Joel Villanueva.
Oo. Mainit ulo niya. Si Senator Jinggoy nagsimulang mainit ulo pero nung dulo
alam ko na sanay na ako kay Senator Jinggoy.
Malambing siya nung dulo. Lumambing na siya kay Alice. Tinutokso niya about love team niya. Si Mayor ng Suwal. Yan, Mayor ng Suwal. Anyway, madami tayong pag-uusapan. Don't go away because we're not done yet. May dalawa pa tayo. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News.
Hindi tayo makabate, but bawi tayo bukas kasi marami tayong pinag-uusapan ngayon. But for the meantime, let's continue with our countdown.
On to our top two, Interior Chief Benhur Abalos maintains that Apollo Quiboloy had no choice but to turn himself in. Abalos made this remark after Quiboloy's lawyer, attorney Ferdinand Topacio, said the pastor voluntarily surrendered. Topacio even called on Abalos to stop being, quote, epal.
Nako, si Atty. Topacio talaga. Palagay ko, ito yung epal talaga eh. Alam mo, sinasabi ko nga sa kanya is that ang word lang naman dito ay yung tinatawag nating nahuli eh. Pinakita namin, naka-trap na siya, huli na siya tungkol dito, no? At saka lang siya namilit na sumurrender.
President Marcos also belied the claim of Quiboloy camp and said that Quiboloy was cornered. Marcos assured the public that Quiboloy will not be given special treatment.
Hindi ganyan yung nangyari. Ang nangyari, napilitan siyang lumabas dahil malapit na ang pulis sa kanya. To his credit, ang sabi niya, yung mga follower niya, magpapakamatay para sa kanya. At ayaw niyang mangyari yun.
Sige, mamaya natin pag-usapan yan at idiretso na natin sa ating number 1 for today. Remaining in the top spot is Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. President Bongbong Marcos denied reports that Pastor Apollo Quiboloy voluntarily surrendered to authorities on Sunday. Government officials also refuted claims that the fugitive pastor was captured outside the Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound. Here's the report.
Hindi siya lilitaw kung hindi namin hinabol ng husto. Ang nangyari, napilitan siyang lumabas dahil malapit na ang pulis sa kanya.
This is what President Bongbong Marcos said about reports of Kingdom of Jesus Christ leader Apollo Quiboloy voluntarily surrendering to authorities on Sunday. He added that Quiboloy requested to surrender to the military because he does not trust the police. The president approved this and sent a C-130 to Davao to bring the pastor to Manila. Marcos believes Quiboloy stopped hiding from authorities because of the ongoing manhunt operation in the KOJC compound.
To his credit, ang sabi niya, yung mga follower niya, magpapakamatay para sa kanya. At ayaw niyang mangyari yun. Ang instruction ko sa kanila, etong last time, sinabi ko, pagpasok natin, huwag na kayong aalis dyan hanggat makuha na niyo siya. And that's exactly what they did. Nakita niyo naman.
PNP has presented Quiboloy and 4 other accused in a press briefing in Camp Crame yesterday. Far from his outlandish costumes and church events, Quiboloy was wearing a jacket on top of an orange prison shirt. Interior Secretary Benhur Abalos insisted that the police have cornered and captured Quiboloy in the KOJC compound.
Final assault na yan dahil na-pinpoint na kung nasaan na talaga siya. All of these pictures will prove that all the while, tama ang intelligence report, tama ang operasyon, nasa kote na huli na I mean, for me, it makes no difference kung sumuko ka man. No? Kasi yun na yun eh. Practically, napaligiran ka na eh. Kung nasa isang lugar ka na napapaligiran ka na ng pulis at doon ka rin nakuha, halos yun na yun eh.
PRO 11 Regional Director Police Brigadier General Nicolas Torre III also shared their so-called final assault in capturing Quiboloy and ending their 2-week manhunt operation.
Doon talaga sa Bible School. Okay? Sa Bible School. Ang formal name noon is ACQ College of Ministry. At yun ay aming nasurround na for the past how many days. I see it as a standoff. Kasi alam na namin kung nasan siya eh. Alam na rin na nandiyan kami. So naglulukuhan na rin tayo dyan sa mga searchers na yan. Pinaligiran namin at siniguro namin kung na makalabas.
But in an interview with The Big Story, KOJC Legal Counsel Attorney Israelito Torion reiterated that Quiboloy was outside the compound before he voluntarily surrendered.
Are you saying that Quiboloy was outside the compound all along,
Yes,
all this
ma'am.
time?
Yes,
Where
ma'am.
was he?
Because there's
Okay.
that portion in the southernmost portion
Okay.
where it may be easy to sneak in,
Right.
and of course the police they love to sleep, so maybe that became the opportunity for
That
the
hurts.
ISAF to what's it called this?
So was he really in
go
North
inside the
Cotabato?
compound.
To get more information about this, we have Justice Undersecretary Nicolas T. Good morning, Yusek.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Angelo. Good morning, Angela.
Yes, Yusek, I don't know if you saw the statement of Attorney Torion regarding Apollo Quiboloy, that he was outside the compound all throughout this ordeal, and that he just went back into the camp po para sumuko. But what po yung pinaka-final and official message po nyo na regarding yung arrest ni Apollo Quiboloy?
Well, first of all, there's no doubt that Pastor Quiboloy was arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not he was arrested, whether or not he surrendered or he was apprehended or captured, it doesn't matter. Because whatever happened, he was arrested. And arrest is the mode for the court to be able to take jurisdiction of him.
That's right.
So this insistence or this persistence to distinguish between surrender, it doesn't really matter for purposes of the arrest, because he has been arrested. That cannot be denied.
Yes,
There's another possibility why they're floating this theory of voluntary surrender, and it's that they will avail of it as a mitigating circumstance later on during trial. But again, that's not available because the mitigating circumstance of voluntary surrender, that will only be available if you didn't give the government a hard time to arrest you. So clearly you can see just the amount of resources that the government had to devote to be able to capture Pastor Quiboloy. So bottom line, this theory, this story between captured or surrender, it doesn't really matter for legal purposes. All it does is save face for Pastor Quiboloy as well as his lawyer.
And Yusek, also I'd like to ask, so all throughout this ordeal, he was inside the compound. Yun na po yung official. Hindi pa siya pumunta ng North Cotabato.
Mukhang ganun, no? That's really the impression that we get, because first of all, you could see naman just how vicious the resistance was to the implementation of the warrant of arrest.
Yes.
You can see just how zealous Attorney Torion was to avail of all legal remedies to be able to prevent the implementation of the warrant of arrest. You can see how the supposed allies of Pastor Quiboloy really brought a Senate hearing there. So there was really this, a lot of, the camp of Pastor Quiboloy was really hell-bent on preventing the warrant of arrest. And that really shows that he was there. And then you heard what Secretary Abalos said, that it's such a far-fetched story for Attorney Torion to insist that Pastor Quiboloy came from outside. Because why would he go back? Why would he go back inside if he was already outside the KOJC compound? So again, that's again probably another way to save face, and maybe for the lawyer, for Attorney Torion, a way to cover his tracks. Because as you know, there have been the camp of SILG has been saying that he can be liable for obstruction of justice for all his attempts to mislead the state in arresting Pastor Quiboloy, including putting it out there that Pastor is not inside the KOJC compound.
Yusek, marami pong mga, kumbaga, tactic or strategy ang kampo ni Pastor Apollo Quiboloy para pong mapagaan or whatever it is yung gusto nilang mangyari dito kay Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. One of which is yesterday po, nag-file po ng ang kanyang legal team before the Pasig and Quezon City Regional Trial Court seeking po ng transfer supposedly na ni Pastor Apollo Quiboloy from PNP Custodial Center para po sa, kumbaga, custody daw po ng ISAF. Is that even possible?
Alam na namin na naghain sila ng mga panibagong motion na unang-una kung pwede house arrest, on the alternative kung pwede malipat sa army. Nag-usap naman kami ng mga handling prosecutor, masigasig nilang kukontrahin to. Incidentally, sa Friday, nakatakda na ma-arraign si Pastor Quiboloy at kanyang mga co-accused doon sa qualified trafficking persons case sa Pasig. So malamang ay isa to sa mga pag-uusapan doon sa hearing na to. At yung mga fiscal natin alam naman nila anong gagawin nila, masigasig-gahan nilang kukontrahin to. Pero una-una yun, house arrest. Sobrang bihira yun. Wala naman talagang ganun sa jurisdiction natin. That can only be given under very extraordinary circumstances and for very minor crimes. Pastor Quiboloy is facing a capital offense. Right. So we will oppose it though. We will oppose it vigorously. This display for house arrest. Right. On the other hand, itong hiling nila for na malipat sa army, kadalasan naman yung mga nalilipat sa army, ito yung mga umarap na mga national security offenses, terrorism or mga rebellion. Dito hindi naman gano'n, Kaya maski yung hiling na yun, ay alam ko kukontrahin ng mga fiscal natin.
Exactly. But ito nga po, Yusek, may breaking news po tayo. Pinag-uutos na daw po ng Quezon City Regional Trial Court, Branch 106, yung pag-transfer kay Pastor Apollo Quiboloy sa New Quezon City Jail. Your comment on that?
Okay, so clearly, it's the court. Ang korte ang may pasya kung saan i-commit ang akusado. So doon na, sa ngayon, wala silang choice kundi sundan yun, But abangan na lang natin kung anong mangyayari doon sa Pasig kasi syempre simultaneous to. But tingin ko naman makikipag-ugnayan yung mga korte kung saan ultimately makukommit yung mga akusado.
I'd like to touch up po Yusek about yung kay Tansinco, Norman Tansinco. As we all know, he was relieved po from his post based on the recommendation of Secretary Remulla. Ngayon, ang question ko po is, this means that he is part of the Alice Guo escaping the country, or is it merely a case of command responsibility?
Not necessarily na nadawit siya talaga doon sa pagtakot si Alice Guo. At the very least, it's really a loss of trust and confidence on the part of the Secretary on Commissioner Tansinco. And yun naman, nagaling naman mismo kay Secretary yung kahapon.
Okay.
Ito pinaka-quick lang po, Yusek, given po yung before all of this po, yung file ng cases against Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, ay meron na pong contempt charges ang Senate sa kanya. Gusto po talaga siyang makausap. Pero is there a possibility na siya po ay mapayagan makapunta sa Senate?
Yes, pwede naman, Pag-uusapan yan, diba? Yung mga taong nasa prison, nasa jail, anytime naman, they can be brought to Senate hearings as long as we coordinate with the Senate on their attendance.
Alright, sige. Maraming salamat po ulit sa inyong oras. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
That was,
you're welcome.
yes. Okay, that was our DOJ Yusek Nicolas T.
Nicolas T. Marami din ako. Yes, go ahead.
Dagdag mo lang, Diego, to. Ako na.
Go ahead,
yung kahapon, yung kanina yung sinasabi ko about the breaking news, yung pinag-utos na nga po ng Quezon City Regional Trial Court, Branch 106,
Sa Camp Caringal.
Oo, nailipat sa New Quezon City Jail si Pastor Apollo Quiboloy at kapwa niyang akusado na si Crescente Canada. And of course, sa Quezon City Jail Female Dormitory naman, sa Camp Caringal, ipinalilipat yung iba pa niyang akusado na sina Jacqueline Roy, Ingrid Canada at Sylvia Semanes. Yan.
I would have left them sa custodial center because we need to secure, just like Alice Guo, we need to secure Apollo Quiboloy. Kasi medyo masikip ang population daw sa Caringal ngayon at this point. Pero ayun, yan po yung breaking news natin.
Okay. May mga abangan nila yung iba pang mga update tungkol dito sa mga
definitely.
pangyayari.
Tuloy-tuloy ang
Alice
usapan.
Guo. Hindi pa natin alam kung kailan yung magiging Senate noon. Tapos of course yung update dito tungkol kay Quiboloy. But for the meantime, maraming salamat po for joining us today.
Oo, and that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunzad-Castro. And he is Angelo Castro III. We are One News, all sides, all the time.